Hello and welcome to the Prisma ORM Query Fundamentals course. My name is Xander. This tutorial is part of a whole course playlist, which you can access for free on YouTube. For deeper learning, the extended course is available for purchase at Udemy. You'll find all the resources and links in the video description. Don't forget to subscribe for weekly promotions, discounts, and Udemy course giveaways. Swagger, or I think it's now called Open API Specification, is a powerful tool that's going to allow us to document and visualize our API endpoints. It also provides an interactive UI, which is going to be helpful for us to be able to send requests to our endpoints and understand how our API works. Okay, so first up, we're going to need to install all the dependencies for this. So let's go into our Docker Compose file. Now, our Docker file. Now remember in here, this is where we install Express and Prisma when we create the image, so that when we create the container, that's all ready and installed for us to start building our application. Well, we need to extend that slightly and now install Swagger JS doc and the Swagger UI Express. So we install Swagger JS doc. That's used to generate Swagger documentation from JS doc comments. And here the Swagger UI Express, that's used to serve the Swagger UI. That's what we're going to utilize to visualize our endpoints and to be able to interact with our endpoints through a web-based tool. Okay, so there are a whole bunch of options that we have, but what we're going to do here within our Express API folder, let's create a new file. Let's call this swagger.js. In this file, I'm adding some basic settings, the definition. So this is going to provide the documentation with some additional information, title, version, description. We'll see that shortly. And in addition to that, we're going to define the path to the API routes. So all of our routes is going to be found in dot referring to the current directory this Swagger file resides in, / then routes, that's the folder. And then any JS file in there is going to be considered an API route file. This is where Swagger is going to find the documentation, the information needed to actually build the endpoints within the UI so that we can start to interact with them. We make sure that we can export this, and let's move over to the index and let's go ahead and now import that in. And then we need to tell Swagger to use these options and to create our Swagger docs. So let's do that next. So we passed in our options from our new Swagger file, and then we start Swagger JS docs with those options. So we are going to need to bring those resources in. So at the top here, let's do that. So let's bring in Swagger JS doc. And now we need the Swagger UI so that we can interact with our endpoints through the UI. So let's bring in the UI from Swagger UI Express. And now we need an endpoint. We need some sort of location for this. So next we simply just specify where we're going to find this Swagger UI. That's going to be /docs. So we're going to type into the browser localhost :3000/docs. Two components here. We have Swagger serve. This is the middleware function provided by Swagger UI Express that serves the UI static file. So we're going to need some CSS, JavaScript, and HTML in order to actually show this UI in the browser. And then we have the Swagger UI setup. So this generates the interactive documentation UI based upon the Swagger specifications. Of course, that's what we've specified here in our Swagger JS file. Right, so let's give this a go. Let's start fresh and just make sure that everyone is started at the same point. I'm going to delete the containers. I'm going to delete my images as well. So let's just start fresh, make sure there isn't any volumes. Let's just start again. Right, so that's step one. Step two is what we're going to need to do here is to delete the package file, because this isn't going to be updated. Yes, we have added Swagger and Swagger UI Express to our Docker file. So if you haven't already done that, we need to do that to indicate that we want those installed. But we also need to really add this to the package file here. So what we need to do at this point is to delete the package JSON file. That will get recreated. So let's now go ahead and rebuild. Package file should be recreated shortly once the images obviously have downloaded. So the images are downloaded, the package file was recreated. It now should include all the additional tools that we have installed. I'm sure this is in alphabetical order. Swagger, looking for, okay, Swagger docs. Okay, so that is now available for us to utilize. Migrations are set, so I think we're good to go. So let's try this out. Head back into the browser, and this time it's localhost 3000 / and then I think it was docs. And there we go. Okay, so we don't have any endpoints defined yet, so there's nothing in that UI for us to interact with. So we need to provide the code to Swagger UI so it can then create the endpoint documentation in that interface. So here we're going to create an OpenAPI documentation block. We're going to write in JSDoc format. Swagger UI is going to be able to utilize this information to generate the interface that's going to allow us to view and interact with our endpoint. Now there's two approaches here. We can manually create the code, or we can use ChatGPT to quickly generate the code for us. That's one approach. Or there are tools that will try to automate this approach of generating the code, which will then be utilized to build the Swagger UI. There are a whole host of different tools available online. Swagger Hub, Dockersaurus, for example, Redocly. These are all tools which will automate the process of creating Swagger UI documentation. So what I've done here first is I brought in some tags. So this is going to allow us to categorize different endpoints into different sections of the UI. So it's going to look something a little bit like this. You can change the names, of course, and now I can assign different endpoints to this section. Of course, I can make multiple sections and assign those to those individual sections to just organize the endpoints into logical areas. And then I need to define a schema. So the schemas section in Swagger defines reusable models for your API responses. It helps keep the documentation clean, structured, and consistent. So let's bring in our schema. Now, essentially what this is information for the UI to understand the category table. This is all the information related to the category table, including the fields and the field types that we've utilized in the database, including the description. And then finally, we need to document the endpoint. So this is the category insert endpoint. We specify the HTTP request type, tags. So we tag it to, in this case, this is the same name as our tags up here. So we're just defining which section it should reside into in our UI. We have a nice summary here, description, and then we start to describe the request body. So what data should be in the request body for this post request? And then at the end here, we have a response. So what we expect from the response and the error message. So these are potentially two responses that we have from this endpoint, 201 or 500. So that details the potential outcome from using this endpoint. Right, so let's go ahead and just remove the containers. So go ahead and bring up the containers once again. And this time when we go to the documentation and refresh, we should now see our endpoint. So what we have at the bottom here is our schemas defined. We can view the database tables, fields, and field types, and additional information. And we have the endpoint, which is a post. It requires us to send a post request to this endpoint. It defines the URI that we need to send to. and some additional information. Now, if we use this drop down, we can go ahead and try this out. So we are provided some sample data here, but if we select try this out now, you can see this sample data is provided for us. So we don't need to remember the fields and the data that we need to insert to create a new record. What we should be able to do now is create a new record. So let's go ahead and execute. And you can see that we return a 201, confirming we've now inserted a new record in the database. If there is an error, so let's just make an error. So the parent ID, let's add 0. There is no parent ID 0, so that should cause an error. So if we execute, then you can see we now return the 500 as expected. Now, this can be a nice way to develop and interact with our endpoints. It provides us a nice user-friendly UI for us to explore the endpoints that we are creating. Now, the only issue, of course, is that there is a lot of code here, more code needed here in the documentation or to create that UI than there is the actual endpoint. So let's see if we can automate this process. Right, so we're going to use Swagger Autogen to see if we can automatically construct our Swagger documentation. So let's give this a go. So we need Swagger Autogen, okay. Right, so head over to the Docker file. Let's add this onto the end here in this line 11, where we are defining the dependencies to be installed whenever we create our container. Right, so now importantly, let's make sure that we delete all the containers, all the images, and volumes. Now, if you are familiar with Docker, you realize already that you don't necessarily need to take all of these steps, but just to make sure that everyone is working from the same place, let's just make sure that we delete all the volumes, and that's really important, and the images and the containers. Right, so we're starting from the same place. So do make sure that you delete any of the package files, package.js, in the Express API folder. And now we can make a few changes. Right, so here we're going to go into the Swagger.js file. I've made a few changes here to allow for this new setup. So here we're going to bring in Swagger Autogen. This is going to be the metadata related to the endpoint that we're creating here. Added some additional information, meta information that will be displayed in our UI. And we now define the output file. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use Swagger Autogen to automatically generate the documentation needed to build our UI. Now that's going to be outputted to this Swagger output.json file, which will appear when we run Swagger Autogen. And here below, we've just identified the endpoints we want to make the documentation for. Right, so once we've done that, we pass that all into Swagger Autogen. So we need to know, it needs to know the output file to create, the endpoints to create the documentation for, and then doc is related to some of the other metadata we want to generate to create our documentation for our UI. Right, so now let's move into index. A few changes here. We've removed the Swagger.js doc. We continue to use the Swagger UI, but this time we pass in the Swagger file that's going to be generated automatically. So here in our docs, the setup is going to be passing in the Swagger file that we're now importing from Swagger output.json. Of course, that doesn't exist yet because we've not built it, but it will do. Because we are starting the Express service in a container, we will need to first create the Swagger output file locally, so swagger-output.json, and then just add curly braces. Empty is absolutely fine, and that will just ensure that we can actually bring up the Express server. Okay, so with that set, let's go ahead and bring everything up. Containers have started. It looks like we're good to go. So now let's go into the Express container, go to the exec, and now we can type in ls to view the files inside of this folder. And now we need to run Swagger.js. So node swagger.js, that is successful. So we should now be able to view the new output inside of this Swagger output JSON file. And it looks like it's now generated our configuration file. So that just leaves us now to restart the containers. I know this is terribly boring, doing this again, so we're going to restart the containers. So let's delete, let's go ahead and restart, hopefully for the last time, at least in this tutorial. Let's bring this up and let's take a look, we refresh, and here we go. So we now have our documentation automated so that we don't have to, every time we create a new endpoint, manually enter that in above each endpoint that we define. So here we can try this out. We need to be careful here actually with some of this information. So we just need to make sure this is formatted correctly. So level should be a number, is active is Boolean. So let's remember that and let's try this out. Oh, it looks like we made a mistake. It's not none, is it? No. Okay. That's right. And then let's execute. And there we go. So we have now entered some data in the database. We return the 201. What we could do now is go into the Swagger output here. We can make some changes to the documentation, but we need to be careful of that, of course, because we're going to generate this every time we add a new endpoint, which will probably override whatever changes we make here. Now that's a lot of work to get the output that we have done here, and over the long term of this course, it's going to be a nice way for you to interact with the endpoints that we create. And of course, the code will be available for you for all of the endpoints. So you can download, you can experiment, you can make some changes and so on. And this is just going to, I think, make it a whole lot easier for you to interact with the endpoints.